Friends, we have a tremendous month in April in terms of video games and new releases because there is something for everyone to play this month. From third-person action and adventure to sports games, racing, Metroidvanias, indies, AAA, everything. And in today's video, I'm going to compile what I believe are the 20 most important releases of the month. I would like to put 30 or 40 games in this video because there really are that many. There are 40 games to review this month, but I can't make a 50-minute video, so I decided to only include 20. The most interesting ones. And the rest, later on, as the month progresses, I will surely be commenting on them. Because really, this month we have everything. Many options, many new games, some remasters, remakes, as always, and I think there's a game for everyone's taste. Get comfortable, because without further ado, we're going to start with the list of April releases for all systems, and we're going to start the month of April with early access on PC. And a game that looks spectacular, this is Steel Hunters, and it tells about humanity in a very futuristic future. Was forced to develop a series of mechs to be able to extract certain valuable materials they needed to survive. The thing is, there were wars, there was apocalypse, and now these giant machines fight each other for the supremacy of resources. This game was developed by the same people who developed World of Tanks and World of Warships, and it is essentially the same an online multiplayer, but extraction shooter. Missions include extractions, environmental challenges, and player versus player combat. And the typical of this genre of video games, it's free to play, totally free. For now, it only comes out on PC, but later it might come to consoles. Sand takes place in an alternate world, at the beginning of the 20th century on an alien planet, where the oceans have evaporated, leaving pure desert. In this context, we are going to be explorers who operate gigantic mechanical machines called trumplers, which serve as our bases with legs because that's what they are, our base. In a survival game, but with legs. These vehicles, called trumplers, are highly customizable. They have weapons, and with them we can attack other players and steal their resources. And the game's proposal is this, an online survival title with a mobile base. Half steampunk or dieselpunk. Set in a vast desert, the game will be released first on PC with a potential console release later. Third consecutive game for the PC in April, The Last of Us, Part 2. And here I'm not going to stop too much because you don't have to stop too much. This is The Last of Us Part 2, which came out for the Play, but now on PC. The title comes with everything, with the no-return mode, with improved graphics, and even with all the extra content of comments from the development team. And other things, with which the latest version of The Last of Us Part 2 came out on PlayStation 5. PC players. Honestly, I would be very cautious with this port, because the last port from consoles to PC didn't go very well. And I'm not saying the same thing is going to happen again, but just in case, don't pre-order, don't buy in advance, wait to see how the game is before spending money, because maybe you end up buying the game in the long run. But it may be better to wait 2 or 3 months to buy it, as with the previous port, rather than buying it this month. South of Midnight is an action and adventure game developed by Compulsion Games and published by Xbox Game Studios. It will be available on Xbox Series, PC, and Game Pass on day one. This title is set in the deep south of the United States with an aesthetic inspired by southern folklore and magical realism. In South of Midnight, we will follow Sigourney, a young woman who makes a discovery one day. That she is some kind of medium or seer or something like that. That she has powers and is capable of manipulating reality to confront supernatural creatures. The game's style mixes some animation, stop-motion style with 3-dimensional graphics and third-person action adventure. And it's a game that has a bit of exploration, a bit of combat, and perhaps a way of structuring itself quite similar to what Kena Bridge of Spirits was. In fact, if you liked Kena, you'll probably like this title as well. Because it appears to be proceeding in a similar manner. A heroine who has to purify certain areas of a plague or evil or something like that. She continues fighting and exploring. In April, we will also have base management, administration, and construction. In a very particular game that presents us with a kind of city manager, but different. This is Ixion, and the premise is powerful. In this title, you have to manage a citadel with its buildings, its production things, its little houses and all that. But this citadel is not on Earth, but in space, in a kind of giant rotating space donut. The thing is, humanity had to leave planet Earth a long time ago. And the last standing city of all humanity is this kind of floating Noah's Ark. The title is actually a survival game because we have to get sticks and space pebbles to build our base and manage to survive in a hostile environment. The difference is that instead of having a character, we have a spaceship. The title was released on PC, was extremely well received, and now comes to consoles, to Play 5 and Xbox Series. If you like titles like Frostpunk, for example, this title is for you because it proposes more or less the same thing. Trying to deal with the people who are living in your base, trying to manage your base so that people don't die. Meanwhile, create a campaign or free mode. The new installment of the Commandos saga arrives on April 9th. Remember the Commandos? Well, the tactical infiltration and military strategy games are back, and this is not a remake, nor a remaster, nor anything like that. But it is the prequel to the original Commandos, a game that will be set in the early years of World War II. And it will tell us the origin of the elite group that stars in the first Commandos, a true and proper prequel. Same mechanics, characters, and more stealth stories to experience. In this spectacular game, already a classic of tactical infiltration gaming, Descenders next maintains the heart of its previous installment, which is Descenders. It's essentially the same, whether you know it or not. You have a group of athletes and you have to descend from a mountain. The difference is that the first game was on a bicycle and this one is snowboarding and mountain boarding, which is, well, a kind of big skateboard. You have a career mode, you have online, you have events, and you have a simple but challenging game, in which the goal is to descend hills, mountains, and tracks at high speeds, while you take tests. The game will release on Xbox and PC on April 9th with a later unconfirmed release date for PlayStation. I don't know if you know the video game This War of Mine, but if you do, I tell you that Into the Dead is exactly the same. Only instead of being in a war, you're in a world devastated by zombies. Now, if you don't know This War of Mine, let me tell you. This is a survival title where you're going to have to manage a group of survivors in the midst of a zombie catastrophe that takes place in the 80s in the United States. The game's setting is spectacular, the title is very well done, and the feeling of survival, of constant risk, of infiltration is great. This is coming from me, who has already played the title. In fact, I won't go on too much about it, because it only launches on PC, and because on PC it has a demo. So if you're more or less interested in what you saw, my recommendation is that you go play the demo it has right now on Steam. In Blueprints, you're gonna play a young man who inherited a mansion from his uncle or grandfather. But in order to claim this mansion, he has to meet an absolute requirement, which is to find room number 46 that is hidden within this mansion. The thing is, every time you approach a closed door within this mansion, the game proposes 3 different types of doors. And depending on what we choose, we're gonna be sort of creating the mansion, because this is a roguelike, but a very special roguelike, in which, yes, things are generated randomly, but we also solve things in a different way. We don't fight, we don't shoot, we don't swing swords, but we solve puzzles, because we are facing a puzzle roguelike. A unique proposal, very different, with a graphics section, in my opinion, beautiful. The game will be released on Xbox Series, PC, and Game Pass on April 10th. Bionic Bay is an action platformer game. One of those side-scrolling, jumping, and dodging games, but one that seeks to give a certain twist to the 2D platform formula. In this game, our character is able to alter time, reverse gravity, rotate the stage, or even swap positions with other objects. He acquired these abilities because he is a very scientific scientist who is capable of doing these things, period. The point is that our scientist is escaping from this place, and we have to help him using these variations. From what is the most classic platform genre, the little game is quite interesting. But I mentioned this title last month as it was scheduled for release then, but it was postponed until now. It comes out in April on PlayStation 5 and on PC on the 17th of this month. The same day Indiana Jones also arrives on PlayStation 5. And I'm not going to dwell too much on this either, because we've already seen it. The Indiana Jones, we already know what it's about. It's good, it's a great title, it does something very well, which is to make us believe that this game could easily be an Indiana Jones movie. In fact, I think this is its greatest virtue. And I think if you're more or less a fan, or you like the first and second indie movie, well, you're going to like this game. It's a first-person action adventure, lasts about 20 hours or so. It's very good. Almost all the game pace, at some point it might get a little slow. If you dedicate yourself to the game because you enjoy the Indiana Jones story, you'll have a great time playing it. It's a great game, it has great quality, and could easily be your main game for this month of April without any problem. In April, we also have Metroidvania, and that is Mandragora, a video game that has a certain blasphemous air. As for the plot, since we are in a kingdom that has fallen into disgrace due to gods, arcanes, or something like that, and we are an inquisitor under the orders of a distant king who has to cleanse the kingdom, the usual we'd hear in any Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Souls Live, or whatever you can think of. Well, here in a 2D Metroidvania, the difference, or what perhaps makes this game particular beyond the fact that it looks spectacular, is that it has class selection. It's not common in a Metroidvania to have class selection. We have different characters, we can choose our favorite style of play, and we have a campaign of about 40 hours. It's a mid-priced $40 title releasing first on PC with potential console ports later. Bokura is an adventure and puzzle video game designed exclusively to be played by 2 players. In this cooperative experience, each player assumes the role of one of these 2 children, who run away from their homes and stumble upon an unexpected world. The thing is, one of the children sees a kind of more natural world, and the other sees a kind of more mechanical world. And since it's an online cooperative, each of the players has to play at their home. They communicate through the microphone, describing their surroundings and attempting to beat the levels. The title debuted on PC a while ago and was well received on Nintendo Switch, and now it's coming to Xbox and PlayStation. If you're interested, it's $5 on PC, it's almost nothing, and we don't have the price for consoles yet. In April, Fatal Fury also returns after 26 years since the launch of Mark of the Wolves in 1999 for the Neo Geo. Fatal fucking Fury is back. A classic, a fighting game that retains its most typical gameplay mode and adds some new features to refresh the gameplay. But if you're one of those disgusting noobs who doesn't know how to play fighting games like me, for example, and you want to join this release, I have good news. And that is, the title, in addition to bringing the typical gameplay mode of a Fatal Fury, includes input of punches and combos and those things. The title also brings a reduced mode, in which with few commands you can throw some challenges and so on. That is, it brings a mode for a noob so you can learn to play. We have a roster of 17 characters that will later be expanded with DLCs and so on. And among those 17 characters, we have the very bug, Cristiano Ronaldo. Yes, you heard right. Cristiano fucking Ronaldo is a playable character in Fatal Fury City of Wolves. Why? Well, because SNK has an investor in Saudi Arabia who is also responsible for Cristiano Ronaldo's transfer to another club. No, Cristiano Ronaldo did not end up in the video game series Fatal Fury. I love it, don't get me wrong, I find it very strange, but I love it. And he's a character from the basic roster, so it's not paid. On April 24th, we will also have turn-based combat role-playing game, and one that looks spectacular, and that, without a doubt, is going to be talked about this year. This is Claire Obscure Expedition 33, a title that comes with a strong argument. Every passing year, a mysterious figure like a kind of goddess called the Painter descends from her tower and paints a number on a kind of mural. And all human beings of that age will soon be wiped off the face of the earth. This started in the 60s, and as the years went by, it went down. And currently, they are at 33. And everyone on planet Earth who is 33 years old is going to die. Why? We don't know. That's the mystery of the game. The title is called Expedition 33 because we and another group are in our 30s. We're going to have to go to the tower to see if we can defeat the Painter and stop people from dying. The title is a turn-based combat role-playing game, but it has certain little things that seek, like refreshing this genre. When it's our turn to fight each one of our characters on our turn, whether in attack or in defense, we can execute certain commands, like parries, dodges, or critical hits in real time, as to make the turn-based combat a bit more entertaining. And being complemented also by some camera games, lights and effects that are very good, to tell the truth. In summary, we have turn-based combat with some additional features. It's not the first turn-based role-playing game where we see these mechanics, but they are here and they look nice. The game will release on Xbox Series, PlayStation 5, PC, and will be available day one on Game Pass. The remastering of Days Gone is going to arrive on April 25th exclusively on PlayStation 5. And this remastering brings improvements in shadows, improvements in graphic quality, improvements in lighting, and a higher density of vegetation. And enemies? In addition to new graphic modes and little things that improve the quality of life of the game added to these graphic improvements. We have a permanent death mode. That is, you start playing, and if your character is killed, you lose the game. And a new quick start game mode. I don't know how it's gonna work, but they say it's like for a quick game of Days Gone. Anyway, one of those remasters that Sony PlayStation does. To sell you a game they've already sold you. If you already had Days Gone because you bought it on PlayStation, you put $10 and you update it. If you had it on Plus, no, it doesn't update for $10. You have to buy it for $50. And if you had it on PC and you want these new game modes and some extra content that adds up, you have to pay $10. I read them in comments, I always said it, and I will continue saying it until a better game comes out. Forza Horizon 5 has no competition. It's the best racing and open world video game you can play today. And it arrives on PlayStation 5 on April 29th. The title has a very fun campaign that takes you all over the map, going through all kinds of races on all kinds of vehicles. It has mini missions, mini campaigns, hidden vehicles, tests, stunts, jumps. It has everything. Complemented with more than 900 different vehicles that you can get within the game. Season passes, events, free cars, and other dynamics that really, if you like cars, you can spend your whole life playing this game and never leave. Have you always wanted to play a racing game just because and never really got hooked? Or whatever, because maybe it's not really your genre, or you're not very good at playing racing games. Well, Forza Horizon 5 offers you all the conveniences in the world because you can put assist for everything and play it as if it were a super arcade game. Now, if you're improving and want to get bigger rewards from the races and so on, you start removing the assists and they reward you with bigger rewards. With money, you can buy yourself small cars and similar items. If suddenly you're not into ultra-fast categories and you want to race with street cars like the ones you'd see in your country, there's no problem. You take the car you want and the whole game puts those same cars for you to compete. In most events, there are special events where not, but in most you race against cars of your category. It's really good. Honestly, it's a great first racing game. If you've always wanted to join the racing games and haven't done so until now, super recommended, really. And we close the month with another sports video game, the MotoGP 25, on April 30th, the official game of the MotoGP Championship, which includes the riders, teams, and circuits of MotoGP, Moto2, and Moto3. All for the 2025 season. You know, a sports game, those that get updated every year, mother of beautiful love. The amount of good games there are to play in April is incredible. And I left at least 10-15 games off the list. I'm checking it out, but there are many. I would like you to write to me in the comments. What is your must or your musts for this month? Which ones are you going to play? Definitely. I'm very interested in Commandos Origins because of the nostalgia, because it's almost a game from my childhood. The Clair Obscure Expedition 33, also the Mandragora, and maybe the Fatal Fury. Just to play with the creature. How fun, huh? How does marketing work? Friends, thank you for watching. See you next time. Play a lot. Subscribe, share. If you liked the video, here are more video games to keep discovering if you want to see goodbye.